Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Biking Roots, to Texas, to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well. And I got a new surprise that I'm really excited about that I want to show you guys today. So I'm selling my Marin Wolfridge. Not necessarily a reason why, just that I want to try something new. We don't sell them anymore. They don't make them anymore. So my new bike is going to be, nope, not that one. So here it is, the Transition Spur. So this is technically not the newest one. It is new. I'll talk about why they've updated it for 2024, and we'll go over all the specs and features of this build and why I got this build over some of the other ones. And yes, it is a similar color to my wife's Alpine Trail. So yeah, hopefully that won't cause a problem, but yeah, it is a pretty bike. All right, so first, if you are new to the Spur and you're not sure what it is or where it fits in, let me explain where it is first in Transition's lineup. So when Transition released the Spur 4 years ago, it was kind of a shock because Transition was known at the time for being more bigger travel, burlier bikes. And for a while, it kind of sat by itself down in the low travel 120 mil category. Now they have the Smuggler, which kind of bridges the gap between the Spur and like the Sentinel and the Scout and the Patrol and some of their bigger bikes. So for 2024, the Spur is still newish. When I say newish, it's not a whole new version. All they did was basically create a new rear triangle that is UDH compatible. I'll talk about that in a sec. So right now they're currently selling the old model that's non-UDH, and then the new model that has UDH, and then they have a couple more models that are coming, I think, later. So the bikes are getting a lot heavier these days. Some of that is good because we like dropper posts, we like tires that are better, and we want bikes that don't break all the time. So it is good, but at the same time, it is nice to kind of have a lighter bike sometimes too, to be able to throw around and go faster on the trails. So there are lightweight cross-country bikes from a lot of different brands. We don't sell any of them, but yeah, you see them on like the UCI World Cup. Very lightweight, short travel, although the travel's been growing lately, and those bikes are getting a little bit more capable. Most trail bikes, you get into that heavier category, into the 30 to 35 pound range. So you have like your lightweight cross-country bikes that cost like anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 or more. And then you have your trail bikes, which are more affordable, more kind of your all-arounder. Some brands kind of make a cross bike, which is like your Norco Optic, your Ibis Ripley, your Santa Cruz Tallboy, or Bea Occam. So the Optic was kind of competing in that with 140, 125, but now the Optic, as in a previous video I talked about, now it has high pivot. It's gained some weight, it's more capable going down, but it's also a little heavier than it used to be. So if you're looking for a carbon fiber bike that is not quite an XC race bike, but also you want to be able to jump and handle without kind of going up into the next category, then the Spur could be a good option for you. So let's go over this Transition Spur NX build, and let's talk about the frame and go over some of the specs that Transition went with on this build. All right, so talking about the frame, Jared, one of our mechanics, brought up how fat and chunky that head tube is. So kind of Transition style. So yeah, big and tough head tube with Transition logo on there. And I like the little kind of subtle sharp angles it has in different parts here. You can see it kind of down the frame where it just has the fit and finish. The quality of the builds from the factory is very nice, and what you'd expect obviously for a bike of this category, but they did a good job. One thing that's cool too is just the mounts. So they have lots of mounts. So you have water bottle here, gear stuff here, so you can strap a tube to it. So pretty cool. Lots of mounts that they didn't have to add, but they did, so that you can do lots of things with frame mount. As far as the routing, you have your dropper post routing that comes out through here, and then your gear cable, which comes out through there, and then comes out this side, and then comes out over here. Sometimes controversial, but I actually enjoy is the external brake line, which Transition is known for now. They're kind of going away from it, but comes down here. So mechanic's friend, being able to have externally routed brake lines, so you don't have to fish it through the frame, which is annoying. So I like that. As far as frame protection, you get a little scrape guard right there. Nothing else on the frame. With this matte color, I'm hoping it'll hold up to some abuse. Obviously, I don't plan on beating the heck out of this thing, but yeah, it feels nice, good quality. But yeah, with the matte finish, we'll see. It should be fine. All right, let's talk geometry numbers. So the Spur was kind of ahead of its time 4 years ago in this category, being this downcountry category it kind of created. Is you had a 66-degree head angle. So now a lot of the brands have kind of gone a little bit more slack. This one was pretty slack for this style of bike 4 years ago. Now it's becoming a little more common, but I think it's just perfect, not too slack for this category. And then your seat tube angle is about 76 degrees, so it should be a good climber as well. So for reach numbers, it comes in right at 455 millimeters, which is kind of the sweet spot for me. I'm 5'8", but it still has a low standover, which is nice because I have shorter legs. So I'm pretty excited about the fit. I sat on it yesterday for just a second, and it fit pretty nice, just how it was without any adjustments. And with that geometry, you have pretty short chain stays, 435, so it should be pretty fun to zip around, do some manualing on, some wheelies that we'll see if I can do. All right, since we're talking about the frame, let's talk about a couple things, and then we'll move into the suspension. So this is the big change for 2024, and it's not on this one. So this has been around since it was released. So this just uses a normal Transition derailleur hanger. So on the new one, it has a UDH triangle so that you can run a SRAM transmission, which requires that UDH hanger. As I mentioned in other videos, if you don't know, so UDH requires a specific hanger, and transmission needs that in order to work. Theoretically, could you replace this triangle with the new one? Yes. Transition does not sell it. They've made that clear on their website that it won't be available. So if you have an old Spur or the new non-UDH Spur, no, you cannot go to UDH later. So that may be a deal breaker for some. For me, it was not. So if that's a deal breaker, make sure you get the UDH and not the non-UDH Spur. Okay, let's talk about the suspension that is on my NX build. For one, with the fork. For the NX build, you get a Fox 34 Rhythm with the grip damper. So 120 millimeters of travel. And you get your nice smooth grip compression knob. I've used the grip damper on my Z1 Marzocchi, which feels good. I like the grip damper. Pretty reliable and does what it needs to. If you want more adjustments, you have to go to like a Performance Elite or the factory, which has the Grip 2, which gives you more adjustment for high and low speed compression, and then also high and low speed rebound, which this one just gives a rebound adjustment under here, which is fine for most people, but if you want more adjustments, then you got to go up to the higher performance forks. And for the rear, the shock that they spec'd on this one is the Float DPS Performance Series. So not the Performance Elite, but you still have your 3 positions, so your full open, your medium, and then your firm. So if you're climbing, stiffen it up. I usually, unless I'm somewhere out of town, will just leave it full open. And then here you have your rebound adjustment. For your suspension setup, this uses Giddy Up Transition's suspension design, which looks pretty simple, which is nice for servicing. It's a pretty straightforward design. In the back here, it says your sag is 27 to 33% sag. So you have your pivots here and then over here. The big difference with the Spur versus bigger bikes and other bikes in the Transition lineup is here. So bigger travel, gnarlier bikes always have a pivot back here. As you can see, that is absent on the Spur to save weight. And with a shorter travel, you don't need to pivot as much, so they just basically have this engineered to flex a little bit. All right, so for cranks, you get these Truvative Stylo cranks, so a SRAM product. 170 millimeters dub spindle, heavier 32 tooth ring, which adds some weight to this build. So we'll talk about what I'm going to do about this later. But you do have a dub BSA threaded, so no press fit here, which is good. You do have a threaded bottom bracket to be quieter and easier for maintenance and cleaning. All right, you have a SRAM NX chain, and for the cassette, they went with the SRAM 1150 tooth. This does use the Shimano HG driver, so not GX. They do have an NX derailleur, and this was done to basically get it to the price point where it's at. With the Eagle drivetrain, if you wanted to go wireless, you could, just not transmission. You could get the like the GX Axis upgrade kit. Up front, you do have your NX shifter. This one is set up matchmaker, so you don't have an extra bar clamp. And for your dropper post, you do get a 1-up. On the medium, you have 180 millimeters of travel, which is quite a bit for a medium. I usually have to go to like a shorter one because of my shorter legs, but because this is so low, I can get more drop, which is cool. STG saddle, and then you have your 1-up dropper lever, which feels pretty good. Also set up matchmaker. And for your cockpit setup, this is where you're like, oh, this is more of a capable bike than maybe like a light cross-country bike. You have, 35 mil diameter, 780 millimeters long, 20 mil rise bars. You have a 40 millimeter effect race face stem. You have some ODI Elite Flow grips, which I like ODI. I have some Elite Pros. So continuing with more of the aggressive, like more of a trail bike down country and not like a lightweight cross-country bike, is they use some SRAM G2s, Rs, which 4-piston, so good amount of stopping power. So yeah, you have 4-piston with 180 millimeter centerline rotors up front. In the back, also have 180 millimeters. You do have an adapter here, so you could go to a 160 if you wanted to, but I don't think you can go bigger than 180 back here for the frame spec. So let's wrap this up with wheels and tires, which also shows you why this bike is a little bit more aggressive than a cross-country bike. Up front, they went with Maxxis dissectors. So Maxterra EXO, so you have 29 by 24, which I haven't used these before. I've recommended them to people for around here, but pretty good traction. So I'm excited to see how they do in Houston, see if it's too much traction for Houston. Other parts of the country totally should be fine, but here I usually go with a little faster rolling tire, but I'm going to try it out. And then in the back, a little bit faster rolling Maxxis Recon 29 by 24 3C Maxterra EXO. So a little not quite as aggressive. I think it's a good setup of tires for this style of bike. And for your wheels, you have WTB ST rims with Novatec hub in the back and up front as well. WTB rim, also Novatec. So wheel set should be fine for most people, but could be something if you did upgrade, then maybe go to the XD free hub body. I don't know if you can get an XD for this hub. I'll have to research that and see. All right, so there you have the specs and features of this NX build of the Transition Spur. What do you guys think? What do you think of the color? What do you think of the bike? Weight-wise, I forgot to mention the weight. So Transition, one thing that's cool about Transition, they are pretty honest with their weights, and so they put it on the website. They spec'd it at like 29.8 without pedals and set up tubeless, I think. We don't have it set up tubeless yet, and it came in just over 30. So already that's a lot lighter bike than I've been used to by a few pounds, probably 3 pounds or so. But I have some plans for this bike. So there's my new Transition Spur. In the next little while, I'm going to be doing some upgrades on it. Actually, as soon as I finish this video, we're going to start upgrading. So I'm actually not going to ride it stock. I have a wheel set, I have some cranks, I have a drivetrain, some brakes that I'm going to put on and talk about in the next video, and then I'm going to ride it. So, and then I'm just going to sell these parts as new here at the shop, use them for service jobs. So that's my plan. Obviously, you could totally ride the stock and have a ton of fun on it. But being that I own a bike shop, I am going to do some modifications and kind of customize it for me, which is what you can do with bikes. All right, so let me know if you have any questions about the Spur, how it may compare to another bike. If you have one, what your experience has been with it. Would love to hear your comments. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from Biking Roots. And hope you guys are doing well. As always, see you on the next video. Take care. Bye.